So Kelly and I were going to be staying here in the Douglas Dam area for 2 full days, and day one we were going to go explore a town called Dandridge, Tennessee. And Dandridge is named after George Washington's wife, Martha Dandridge Washington. And it has a couple of claims to fame. One of them, they say they're the second oldest town in Tennessee. And then secondly, when they built Douglas Dam back in the 40s, a lot of this town was going to get flooded. It was going to get taken out by the dam. And they petitioned Eleanor Roosevelt and said, hey, we're the only town in America named after Martha Dandridge Washington, and we don't want to get flooded. And so they were spared, and the TVA changed their plans and didn't flood Dandridge. We also went through Sevierville. This is Dolly Parton's statue here in downtown Sevierville. Sevierville claims that's where Dolly was born, but apparently Dolly was born out in the country, and a lot of these little towns claim Dolly as their own. There's our campsite there. And then so day two we went into Pigeon Forge. And this is the main park in town, Patriot Park. That's a good place to take your dogs if you're in an unfamiliar town while you're RVing and you need to take your dogs. Look for the local downtown park or green space. Most all these little cities have a nice park. It's a good place to get your dogs out and let them walk. There was also a KOA right here by the park, so that's good to note, the Pigeon Forge KOA. So here's Dollywood. This is as close to Dollywood as we cared to get. You couldn't really see anything. It's just off back there in the woods, but it's kind of out there on the interstate or on the highway out there. So then this is actual Pigeon Forge, quote-unquote downtown. And it was fairly small, had some shops and some restaurants, and that's actually, this place was pretty good, believe it or not, the El Paso Grill. And so we were wrapping up our time here in the Douglas Dam area, and it was time to pull up stakes and head on up to the road to our next destination. Today's drive was going to take us about 45 minutes. We were still doing the short hopping technique, and we were headed north up to Morristown, Tennessee, and the Panther Creek State Park. This is a newer state park, and it's located on Cherokee Reservoir, which is a huge lake just right outside of Morristown. This park is only about 6 miles out of town and used to be heavily populated by the Cherokee Indians, supposedly. Panther Creek State Park campground loop, and it's a fairly small loop. You've got this lower part of the loop, and it goes on around, and then there's an upper part. So this is the full extent of the RV type camping here at the park. They have this one loop, and all the sites are back-end sites. It's real easy to get in and out. You just pull up there. They have the right angle, in other words, where it's real easy to back in and then get back out again. And they just offer electric and water, no full hookups. They do all have a tent pad. In the case of this site, your tent pad was way up on this knoll, which would be pretty cool if you had a tent and were camping. You have your own little private part of the campground there. This was the 7 sinkholes trail. I saw probably about 100 sinkholes, but it looked like they had picked out 7 of the deeper ones for you to tour and get a look at. The park is 1,400 acres and located on the Cherokee Lake, which is there because of the dam. They dammed up the Holston River. And the park, it's huge with the trails. They've got like 30 miles of trails with all kind of different levels of difficulties. There's 17 different trails actually covering the 30 miles. They've also got bike trails for 15 miles or so of mountain biking trails. So Morristown, Tennessee was the big nearby town, and course, we had to go in and check out some of the local cuisine there, and then the big thing to do was to go to downtown and see their elevated sidewalk. See, Morristown, back in the 60s, the downtown area before this elevated sidewalk was here, it flooded real bad. A nearby creek flooded the downtown area, ruined all the businesses, and coincidentally, the downtown had kind of been dying out anyway because of the local suburban malls that were starting to pop up. And so these wise city leaders decided to pour millions of dollars into putting these elevated sidewalks in, thinking, well, if it ever flooded again, I guess the businesses upstairs would be okay, and that we would somehow draw the people in. But alas, it didn't work. It was deemed to really not be much of a success because the downtown area doesn't do all that well because of suburban shopping and so forth. But anyway, that was downtown Morristown, Tennessee, and their fateful story. And so that was going to be wrapping up our trip here to Tennessee, our little Tennessee two-step. We had never spent time RVing at the Tennessee parks, and so we enjoyed our time on the road. We enjoyed the short travel days also. That was a neat way to do the park hopping thing. So we had gone this trip had been about 270 miles of traveling. We'd done 3 different parks, and it was time for us to head on down the road and get back home to Hendersonville. So we'll see you guys next time out on the road.